and
Yeah.
and most of the mead was, well, it wasn't as good as it could be, is probably the nicest way to put it. I mean, there was a lot of...
Chaucer.
A lot of, well, yeah, I mean, Chaucer, for the longest time, we picked on Chaucer and called him the Budweiser of mead until they reformulated their entire line and turned around and took a gold medal at the Mazer Cup the following year. So, things do change. Even the behemoths will make change when they see that change can happen. But what I've seen happen in the past 20 some odd years is a real change in quality and diversity. That, I mean, my God, there's just mead combinations out there that are just like, I never would have thought of that, but it's really good. So, stuff that's just crazy. And then so much of it is really quite good. And I really want to say, based on all the people that I've met over the years that, are now meadery owners, that it's being driven by passion, but it's young passion. There's a lot of younger people that are, people in their 20s and 30s that are the ones that are kind of the driving force behind all of this. I mean, there's a lot of us old folks, but I really think that youthful passion, if you will, is really what's pushing us to the next level right now.
Absolutely. I mean, I've judged a few Mazer Cups over the last 5 or 6 years, and what was the high scoring meads 5 years ago are the low scoring meads now. I mean, I don't mean that in respect to the mead itself and its medals that it won back then. It's really just an illustration of quality right now. People's techniques are better. The knowledge is much better. The network of information and the trade of information and its speed is so much better. And all of these things add up, and it's cumulative, and it's amazing. It's wonderful. It's great to be in this business. I am glad I started. We started doing this 6 years ago. I when we started, it was 125 gallons. We had 3 tanks. One had to remain empty, of course, and we started with about 1,000 bottles when we opened, and we were like, no one knows what this stuff is. We will keep our full-time jobs. And we sold out in 9 weeks. We had medals within 4 or 5 weeks, and I was full-time in 6 or 7 months. And it was on, and we fought hard, and we're still fighting now, because business is business. You can be a great mead baker, but you may not be such a great business person.
Well, there's a lot of that,
It does take some finesse and some knowledge, and marketing is very important, and branding, and it's people have to buy the product before they even drink the product, and so your packaging is super important, and it's quite the effort to put it all together.
If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Well, that's right. That's absolutely right. One of the things, I've done several talks on entrepreneurship. I've always owned businesses for many years, and I always tell people, when you're down and out and you're grinding in your business, you're going to get those looks of doubt from people. Oh, how's that mead thing? How's that wine thing going? And you have to pick your chin up. You have to look at them in the face, and they're giving you that look of disgust. But at some point, you have to realize that that's not a look of disgust. That's them realizing they can't do it, and you just have to push forward and realize that that's what it is. It's not you, it's them.
Yeah, they wish they were doing it.
Well, that's
you
the
just need
thing.
to push through it.
I get that. I mean, I've been an independent business person since I walked away from my Lockheed job when my daughter was 8 years old, and because I wanted to be able to be that parent that goes on every field trip and be able to. Yeah. I used to tell customers, "I'm sorry, I'm taking a meeting right now. Run faster, kick the ball." I'd be in a soccer game, and I mean, and that's the difference right there, is being able to do that kind of thing, but.
living
Yeah.
life on your own terms.
It is, but you still, I mean, after 20 years of being in business for myself, I still get that. So how's that little business of yours going? It's like going anywhere I want it to do, anywhere I want it to go,
That's right.
doing whatever I want to do with whoever I want to do it with. Fine. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah, we all have to grind it. We all want that, the alarm clock to stop, and you wake up when you're done sleeping, and you go to bed when you're tired. And if you work hard, you'll get there. We all know that, and it's just a grind. It's just getting there and pushing through. There's a lot of adversity. There's a lot of there's just a lot of the negative thoughts out there. So you just have to fight through it. But it's great. I mean, sales are fun. You go out. I remember going to our first sale. Matt was 22 when we started this business, and no lie, he still looks 22 to this day. He's just one of those people graced with young looks, and he.
My husband's one of those people. He shaves off his beard and mustache, and looks like he's 22. So I make him keep a facial hair going on because it's like not fair.
Mine too.
He would go out in an old beat up car, and he would have a trunk full of meat, and he'd go to a store. And he'd go in and he'd say, "Hey, I'm Matt from Sap House Meadery. I would love to taste you on some of our products." And he'd go through the spiel, and the guy's looking at him like, "I don't believe this. You're a 22 pimply-faced kid selling booze out of the back of your car. Let me talk to the state." And he has literally had to call our state liquor commission to prove to the store owner that we're doing everything's on the up and up.
Oh gosh,
God.
It's amazing what some of us have to go through to make this happen, and it's great. It's all part of the story,
Yeah. So at what point were you able to quit the full-time jobs and do this?
So we opened February of 2011. I quit my job, or what I like to call fired my boss, October 6th, 2011. It was a Saturday. It was sunny. It was beautiful, and I was light as a feather. I'll never forget the day.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
it is a great feeling.
Yeah, Matt went full time the following July. We hired our first full timer following September.
Nice.
That person has since left. We've hired others. Now we have a full time tasting room manager. Next year we're hoping to hire a couple salespeople. We have a production assistant that works for me who's just an excellent employee and team member. And we're really lucky with the team that we have, because one of the things that small businesses face in towns like we have, a depressed town, there's not a lot of skilled-ready workforce, is just that. There's not a lot of people to do some of the jobs that need to be done, and we've just been so lucky to have a great team, with us. So it's been great.
Sounds like it. So where are you guys? I mean, I know you started out, with the 3 fermenters. So where are you now, volume-wise?
Well, when we started with the 3 fermenters, like I said, it was about 150 gallons, with one 75-gallon tank being empty. We grew as much as we could in the old meadery to about 800-gallon capacity. Now our capacity is about 4,500 gallons, and growing rapidly. We're constantly bringing in new tanks and changing things up, and it's interesting.
Yeah, I was talking on the site. I don't know if you guys covered this while I was away for a minute there, but it seems you're one of the few meaderies that lets the mead take its own time. Where I see most of them trying to speed it up, get it to 6 weeks so that they can get the stuff out. You seem to not do that. You let it take the time it needs to be as good as it can, I guess.
That's right. Well, I think you were away, Manny, when we were talking about it. There's no substitute for age. There are ways of speeding it up to make it taste a little bit older, but age is age. It helps a mead. And it's just by our tried and true techniques, that's what we do. A lot of people starting out, and even some of these guys who are trying to become the biggest meaderies in the country are, speeding it up because it's expensive. I mean, there's no doubt about it, whether you're on the East Coast or the West Coast, or in Australia, honey is expensive. The process is expensive, and there's a lot of overhead and capital involved. So I have no problem with the people doing that. I think that's great if that fits their business model and they're putting out those great products. It's just something that we do. It's a belief that we have. If it's not broke, don't fix it kind of mentality. And I do think that having that age does make a big difference.
Well, I mean, the medals that you have won seem to support that. So.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people that are putting out younger meads are winning medals. And that's excellent. We don't submit the meads that we used to. I really enjoy going to the Mazer Cup to meet people, in the industry and network and be a part of it. Not to say we don't submit, but we don't submit 10 or 15 or 20. We may submit 2 or 3 just to get the feedback. Then we go back, we use that information as best we can, and we try to improve our craft. And we never think we're there. It's always, well, what can we do to make this just a little bit better for the end product and user.
Looks like Manny's got another question because you foiled him
Sure.
on his yeast blending questions.
Well, I'm still kind of like I don't know. It's like when you finally catch that tiger. What do you do now? But I wanted to just for I always like to get advice from professionals on the for all of us home mead makers of the fermentation process. What aspect do you think, aside from yeast, obviously, what aspect do you think is the most important? The one that, if we can control, what is it that we should strive to control the most to try and get the best mead?
Oh, wow. That's like asking me to make a batch while we're on the phone right now.
So Ash,
Manny,
can you make a batch while we're on the phone right now? Would that be?
I'm getting ideas. I will tell you that I am getting ideas. I think if you're going for just a great mead, easy drinking mead, the best thing to do is managing CO2 in my mind. A lot of times when you are making meads and trying to get to that, 1, 2 month, 3 month old mark, making meads, you typically taste it as a little bit acidic, or green. A lot of people in the wine industry will call it green because it does have that kind of vinous kind of flavor to it. The key, I think, to fermentation, aside from the yeast, though that is my biggest thing, CO2 management is huge because CO2 in solution will dissolve and become carbonic acid, and it makes it taste acidic and young. And what I do see in a lot of the meads that are young is there's a lot of post-fermentation doctoring. There's a lot of ways to make meads taste another way after fermentation. We do very little doctoring. There's a lot of commercial meads out there that are very, very post-ferm doctored. And if you're going for that tried and true, very simple, transparent, easy drinking mead, and you want it to be, 100%, CO2 management. Get the CO2 out of there as fast as you can. And, we stir 1, 2, 3 times a day, depends on the mead and the fermentation and the flavors that we're going for a long time. And then when we do eventually rack, we splash rack. I don't baby this thing. I get the oxygen and CO2 out. And I think that will help most home mead makers get out of that, because a lot of times as a home brewer, at least from my knowledge way back when, we all remember stirring those batches and trying to get oxygen in there with that stupid paddle, and you're getting it all over yourself and all over the floor, and your significant other's going, what the hell are you doing? Like, that doesn't make sense. I think we all remember that, and now we're like, oh, well, you can use a drill and a paddle, and you can get that oxygen in there. And there's always this talk of headspace and do I fill the carboy with marbles to bring up the liquid, and you don't need to think too heavily on that. Mead is very